Well, I'm on the farm today, and we're out here in December, and I've got the Farmall 350. I need to put it away. I had a hay customer earlier today, and we've had this tractor 1 year, and thought I'd kind of drive around the field here real quick and then make my way back to the barn and put this thing away. And wanted to give you kind of a review on it and what my thoughts are. You know, we bought this tractor. We did not buy it for we didn't buy this thing to be a parade queen. We bought it to actually work on this farm. And we have really used it. It's really nice here in the winter. It's cold out here today, and it's really nice here in the winter when it's cold to have a tractor that'll start when the weather's really cool. You know, these old diesel tractors that I got, they start like a champ in the summer. But when you get on into the cold weather in the winter, and in many ways, when the weather just kind of soaks the tractor, and it's just cold as can be, then it makes it, it makes it hard to start. It's not like, it's not like we got a heated garage here. So it's nice to have one gasoline tractor on the farm, and this Farmall is it. And like I say, we really used that thing today. The chore today was simply moving this round baler out of the way. So the hay customer could back in here to get some hay over here on the other side of the barn. And so the nice thing about it with the fast hitch, and I didn't even take this ball off right here. I've been using that on my little utility trailer. I just backed under the clevis right here. But the nice thing about the fast hitch is I can lower it, put the fast hitch drawbar under there, drop the pin, and lift it up. I don't have to monkey with that jack at all. And it's really handy. It's really handy for doing chores like that. And so it starts good when it's cold. And I was able to hook this baler up, just pull it out there into that field in a jiffy. And so that's one of the chores we've used it for: hustling hay wagons, kicker wagons, and then my utility trailer. And then I got another wagon, my P. Buckley moss wagon, which I've got a video on. And so we've really used it for that kind of stuff. And we've let me reach under here and turn the gas off. And if you've seen our videos, we've cut hay with it this year, and we baled hay with it. We want to have a little redundancy. We want to have a little redundancy with our haying, and so this was nice because, as you saw, I made a equal angle hitch that bolts onto this fast hitch. And again, there's a video. I have a whole playlist of Farmall videos, and on that playlist there's a series of equal angle hitch videos from where I made it, put it on, and then baled hay with it, hooked it to my square baler and baled hay with it. And it worked like a champ. It's got hydraulics. I've got a set of remotes coming out here, and I got another set of they're blocked off, but I have another set of remotes up there. This thing has 3 levers. Let me get over here where you can see 3 levers, and so this lever runs the fast hitch. These 2 run the remotes, and it was not. It's nice having a tractor with 2 remotes, and I just got to put lines on the other one, but what that enabled me to do on my baler was, on my John Deere baler, we have a pan kicker, and the tilt on it is hydraulically actuated from left to right. So it was nice that on this Farmall that I could hook it up to the equal angle hitch that I fabbed up, and then use that set of remotes to be able to tilt that pan kicker from side to side. And I think the PTO on this tractor is like 38, so it's got some power. Even though it's the physical size of an H, it's got the power of, say, a Ford 3000. Some of the more common utility tractors you see around here. 38, 35 horsepower is what a lot of farm tractors are in this area. And here in the mountains of Virginia, you really don't see much in the way of row cropping. And typically when you see a tractor like this, it's somebody's hobby tractor or somebody's parade tractor. And it's usually an H or an M, something like that. But this tractor is, I feel, very advanced. It's a 1958 model, and in its day, it was very advanced. It's got power steering. It's got, like I said, the remotes. It's got 2 remotes in addition to the fast hitch. And, the idea, I guess, the patents on the 3-point hitch were still in effect. And so everybody came up with their own special hitch, and International had this fast hitch. And it's kind of a neat idea where you have prongs that go into these holders right here. And, they had plows and discs and all kinds of implements you could just back up to, and they would snap in place, and you're ready to go. And so while it wasn't a 3-point hitch, I think from everything I've read, the fast hitch implements seem to work really good. So this was nice for 1958. The PTO, and this is the PTO lever for it right here. The PTO is independent, so when you push your clutch in, it doesn't impact the PTO. It just keeps turning. And so, that's a feature that's carried forward to just about every modern tractor today, is independent or a live PTO. In this case, it's independent. So you got hydraulics that are live, and what that means is, if you're not familiar, when you push your clutch in, it doesn't shut off the hydraulic pump. So on older tractors, you push your clutch in, you'd lose your hydraulics, and I guess your implements could fall as well. So on this thing, especially when you're baling hay with the square baler, if you get into a big mass of hay, like that bale I cut open right there, and sometimes you got to rebale a bale, but sometimes there might just be a big chunk of a windrow. There's actually 2 things on this tractor you can do to mitigate, jamming your baler and shearing a pin. And one of them is you can just push your clutch in, the PTO continues to work, and you can kind of slow down or stop and let that baler digest that hay, and then you can let it go and just keep going. The other thing is, which is another feature that, as far as I know, International was the only one that had it in this time period, and that is the torque amplifier. And that's a power shift, on-the-go power shift. That's this lever right here. And you basically, when you pull back on that thing in that direction from the seat, it'll shift to a lower range from basically a high to a low range for the same gear. And And so if you need to slow down, or back in the day when you were pulling plows, maybe you came across a tough spot in the field and wanted to pull down, instead of having to stop the tractor and put it in a lower gear, you can pull that lever and you'll go to a lower range and increase the torque. You didn't have to push your clutch. You didn't have to do anything. And then when you get past that tough spot, you just let it go forward and you're back to your normal speed. Well, on this farm, it's handy from the haying standpoint, but it's especially handy, you know, when you're backing up, to put an implement on like this onto that drawbar, so you can just kind of slow everything down with that torque amplifier. So as far as I know, no other manufacturer had that at the time. I know Oliver had their over and under. I just don't know. I'm sure that some of the Oliver guys out there will correct me, but I think this was the first. And so now all these tractors, you know, later on they had the power shift, and you know, this is just 2-speed, and John Deere had a 8-speed power shift, I think, on the 4020s and that kind of thing. But that was on past when this thing was made. So that's a nice feature on this tractor. As I may have said before, it's got power steering, and it's even got a cigarette lighter. I don't smoke, but it has a cigarette lighter, which is, I guess, back in the day was nice. One thing I did do, and I've got a video on it, I did swap out recently this filter. It was a canister type, and I swapped it out to a spin-on type. You see grease on the side of the motor? This has a power steering unit up here. I think it's called Bellin, B-E-L. I can't spell it. B-E-L. I can't spell it, and I can't even make the words come out of my mouth. Bellin power steering, something like that. It's got some seals that are bad in it, and I need to replace it. It's leaking power steering down on the engine. But tractor doesn't seem to consume oil. I won't say it's 100% not consumed. It does use it just a little bit, but it's not enough to make you concerned. And even when I was baling hay and cutting hay, I had a hay bind on here, my Heston 1110. I got videos of all this stuff, and it was it handled it great. Even then, it wasn't like you know, I'd cut hay and then the next day I'd have to come in and dump a cord in. I didn't have to do any of that. But over time, it will use a little bit, and I don't know if it's using it or it's leaking it. You know, the tractor's only 64 years old, so very pleased with that. And you know, when you buy used equipment, it's a crapshoot. And when you buy old equipment like this, it's especially a crapshoot. And you just don't know what you're going to get once you get it home. And this tractor came off of a farm in Ohio, and supposedly it was a working farm. And then I don't know, but I kind of like it in its work clothes. Maybe one of these days I might paint it. But I like the fact on this tractor that, and this goes for the Olivers and the John Deeres back in the day, and the Alice Chandlers, all those great old tractors. It does not concern me to put this thing on that hay bind out there, or that square baler out there. If I've got enough hydraulics, I might even try it on that round baler. It's a 4x4. It doesn't take a lot of horsepower. But what I really appreciate about these old tractors is they didn't cut corners. These things were made to run full load, full out for days or weeks on end. And, in electric motors, they talk about duty cycle. In my mind, these tractors had 100% duty cycle. So when you load these things down, that's exactly what they were meant to do. So, I mean, the only reason to baby this tractor, if you were going to do that, is just not to be abusive or tear it up. But I don't mind putting the throttle wide open and having it on that baler, pulling the kicker wagon. And we'll see next year when we get into some heavier hay instead of a second cutting. I'll try it again. I'll probably try it again and see how it goes. I'd love to have a 450. I like the paint scheme on these things, and I just think they were, once they, I think that the red H and M's, the 400s and the 300s look great, but I think when they put the white paint to these tractors, it really set them off. And I really like that paint scheme. And like I said, I'd like to have I don't see myself buying one, but it would be really nice to have a 450 to go with this tractor. People have asked me about the narrow front, and if you saw some of my earlier videos when I bought it, these tires were spaced out as far as they could go. And I brought them in incrementally, and finally I've got them pretty much all the way in. And it has weights on it, which is kind of nice. I've got the crank, but people ask me, you're going to put a wide front end on it. And the answer is no. I don't think I want a wide front end. I thought I might would, but I tell you, with the power steering on this tractor and that narrow front, this is, without a doubt, this is the most nimble tractor on this farm. You can turn on a dime when you're backing equipment up, like, putting that baler in there. You just turn those front wheels, and that front end really responds to it. And so I really like that narrow front. I have not found it to be an impediment to anything I've done up here. So I did have a flat tire on this tire, and I had to put a new tube in it. People have asked me, are you going to put new tires on it? And the answer is no, and maybe. At some point I'll probably put some fresh tires on this tractor. These are kind of all cracked up and dry rotted, and these are kind of the same way. But the goal here is for this tractor not to be some kind of parade queen. It's definitely not a hobby tractor. We try to farm on this farm. We try to farm the pencil out a profit, and the goal of this tractor is to help in that regards. So, these tires are expensive, and they just kind of eat into your revenue in a way that makes you not have a whole lot of money left over at the end of the year. So as long as they hold air and the tractor does what it's supposed to do, I have no plans on changing these tires. The one thing I've toyed with on this tractor, and I went to the Red Power Roundup in Ohio this past summer, and I talked to some guys, and I said, who out there would take a tractor like this and go through it from stem to stern and rebuild what needs to be rebuilt, readjust what needs to be readjusted, if there are bushings that need to be pressed out and new ones put in to take the shake out of something. In other words, within reason, what would it take to take this tractor and basically make it not a museum piece, but like basically a brand new tractor, such that when it came back to this farm, it would be completely rebuilt to the extent it needed it, and it would have a decent paint job. It wouldn't be, like some super, like I say, museum quality paint job, but it would be nice and it would be durable. And I had a couple guys up there. They gave me some estimates on what they thought it would take. And obviously it's more than what you would get out of the tractor if you sold it. But it was tens and tens of $1,000s less than what it would take to buy a new tractor. And, and they had, one of the guys asked me, he was an older fellow, real nice guy. And he said, why would you do that? And I said, well, it just seems to me it would be less money to rebuild this one into essentially a new one. And right off the bat, you've eliminated the computer, you've eliminated emissions, everything that's plagues the owners of a lot of these new tractors from technology standpoint is absent from here. But at the same time, this tractor can do just about anything they can do within this size range. One thing, this tractor, based on the serial number, should have been 12 volt. They started out with the 350 as 6 volt, and then they, somewhere in the middle of the run, they changed it to 12 volt. Somebody changed this one back to a 6 volt system. It was 12 volt originally. I would like to do that. I would like to change it to a 12 volt negative ground. These tractors were positive ground, and that way I could hook my bale monitor up to it and maybe a few other things. But that's one of the changes I would like to make, is a 12 volt positive ground. I don't mind the points and condensers. I don't mind that. I don't know that I have to have an electronic ignition. So it's been a great tractor for us. I'm glad I bought it. A lot of people kind of gave me the look like, what are you going to do with that thing? Well, what we did with it, and what we're going to continue to do with it, is use it here on this farm. Not really plowing or anything like that, but just simple chores. It's really handy, moving that baler out of the way so I could get a hay customer's truck in here, being able to start it, when it's 10 degrees without ether, without plugging it in. The gasoline is really nice for that. And I just think it's a nice looking tractor. It's kind of a bonus. The lines on it and the paint, as I talked to earlier. And, I think International was kind of leading the pack as far as advancements. And, but there are newer tractors and probably better tractors, but for the money, I think we got a pretty good machine here. Definitely a keeper. Like I said, I wouldn't mind having a 450 to go along with it. I just kind of like the way these tractors look, and but they bring so much more to the table than just a nice looking old tractor. And this one's loaded with all kinds of features. Another thing I'd like to change, I don't know that I will, these are fenders from the 60 series. The fenders for this tractor would have been kind of flat. I would like, that kind of bugs me. I would like to change that, but that's actually probably a better fender. But I would like to have the original fenders. And I tell you what I'd like is an umbrella. One of these guys that comes up and over and maybe down on the other side. I don't know. You can't hem yourself in with an umbrella. They're hard enough to get on as it is. But I think a nice looking umbrella on this tractor, especially when we're out here in the sun during haying season, would be a nice touch. So that's the video on this Farmall 350. We've had it a year, and really has been, as somebody said one time, these tractors are handy as a shirt pocket, and that's kind of what it's been up here. We've used it for a little bit of everything, and it's old, but it's still kicking, and I think we're going to keep it. So thanks for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment. Farmall 350, 1 year on this farm, and I think we're going to keep it. So we'll talk to you later.